MechWarrior 5, the Almighty Ton. In MechWarrior 5 and the larger Battletech universe, the greatest enemy you will ever face is not House Corita, it's not the clans, it is the Almighty Ton. This is unusual outside of the context of the game, as many other fictions don't really even bother with the concept of vehicle weight, or it's taken for granted. A racing game might introduce you to the concept of horsepower, but never mention power to weight ratio. Even in your daily life, you might load your car down without a second to its specified capacity or beyond, and not really pay attention to what the addition of weight adds or takes away from its performance. In Battletech, performance really isn't measured in damage per second. It's not measured in kilometers per hour. Performance is dealt out by the ton. In Battletech, there are 4 weight classes of mechs: light, medium, heavy, and assault. Okay, well, maybe it's a little more nuanced than that. Practically speaking, the best mechs are like the best airplanes or like the best tanks. They have the right blend of speed, longevity, and firepower. The glue that holds it all together is weight. So, what's the best weight for a mech? Well, in MechWarrior 5, as engine size goes up, so must tonnage. Using a smaller engine frees up tonnage for firepower, but sacrifices speed. Note Exhibit A, the Panther. Or you could push your engine up to your mech's carrying capacity and sacrifice firepower. Note Exhibit B, the Cicada. These formulas, in their extremes, yield bad mechs. Or, if we're being generous, niche mechs. In MechWarrior 5, you might fit these mechs into a lance somewhere, or have a crack pilot to make some kind of use of them, but even then you'll be pushing that mech and its pilot to their limits in every fight, and be on a razor's edge from failure every single time. Rather, let's apply a new formula. A formula I'm sure people haven't thought of yet. Heavier mechs are better. Surprised? Of course not. It's a game about weight. Mechs in MechWarrior 5 don't have to follow the same rules as planes or tanks, where in the real world, if they're too heavy, they literally sink through their medium, whether it's air or ground. So quit being fancy, quit being nuanced, and just field the heaviest stuff you can get your hands on. In MechWarrior 5, you only get to field 4 or less mechs. The only time you go under the tonnage limit is when you are too poorly equipped to meet it, or there are some missions that force you to, but there's never any other reason that makes sense. Okay, maybe there is more to it than that, but not really. Even if you could field more than 4 mechs, in most cases, if you could field fewer heavier mechs, you would anyway. Let's entertain a counter to that argument for just a second. Let's say you have the 85-ton Stalker versus a well-thought-out team of counter-equivalent tonnage. Let's say a 50-ton Hunchback and a 35-ton Jenner. Conceptually, this is a good fight, until you remember that the whole fight depends on one of the 2 spindly legs of that Jenner never getting focused at all the entire time. Where if it was just a Stalker versus, let's say, another Stalker, the one who wins is built on much less risk. And that's what we're talking about ultimately. What is tonnage in MechWarrior 5? Risk mitigation. It's insurance. Can you do without it? Sure, until you can't. And then what's your excuse going to be? Well, that Stalker is 35 tons heavier than my Hunchback. Obviously I'd lose. So don't make tonnage your enemy. make it your ally. If you find yourself losing a lot in MechWarrior 5, go save your sea pennies and stop buying side grade mechs and just go get a big mech, a bigger mech. But how big are we talking? Our holy trinity is speed, longevity, and firepower, right? Surely there are mechs of every weight class that have a good balance of all three. Well, unfortunately, there is an X factor, a factor that's hard to quantify. The X factor is the ability to punch above your own weight. This is good news for you, my penniless, leopard-flying, Jaeger mech defending counterculture commenters, because 100-ton mechs can't punch above their own weight in MechWarrior 5. That means the best mechs, the mechs with the Holy Trinity and the X Factor, are somewhere in the middle. But where? You might be expecting a deep dive into what mechs have the X Factor. Surely, once we know who has the X Factor, then we can narrow down. No, not necessary. It's the 75-ton bracket. All the best mechs are in that bracket. You, listener, definitely have at least one favored mech in that bracket, and probably your very favorite mech in the entire game. Why? Is it your impressive piloting, your shining, quirky personality, your crazy cyan and magenta paint job? No, it's because all 75 tonners are the right mix of mobility, longevity, and firepower. The engines are light enough for lots of guns and ammo and heat sinks, fast enough for high mobility or jump jets, and the chassis is heavy enough for all the armor or crazy heavy guns you could want. You get everything, even the X Factor, especially the X Factor, because you know that if you are a pilot worth your tonnage, the second you come across a stalker, you can face that thing down and you will still win. And you don't have to agree with me. I'm just saying that if you don't, there are some fine Corita or Liao recruiters in the next room that would just love to shove you in a cataphract or a dragon. We are at the beginning of Aniclade's initial funding and patron and subscriber drive. Find out more on Aniclade.com. Our first goal is to reach 1,000 subscribers and 100 patrons. Please do share, like, subscribe, ring the little bell. You can also support us by buying our merch on Teespring or donating through Buy Me a Coffee. Links in the description below. Thank you for supporting us in your way. Hey all, I just wanted to say that I actually do really like the Panther, the Cicada, the Dragon, and the Cataphract. I am capable of having fun and self-expression in MechWarrior 5, and really the game is easy enough for you to play however you like, okay? We friends again? Okay. Thanks for watching. I want to read all the hot takes in the comments. Like and subscribe. Support the channel, please. It's literally the only way we make it out here.